There's marketing that grabs attention, and then there's marketing that earns it. That's what this show, Dear Marketer, is here to explore. And today, we are kicking off our very first episode from an all-new set at Zoho with stories, insights, and maybe even a few hard truths about what marketing really takes today. Joining us is Shirin Rai Gupta, Director of Marketing of upGrad Enterprise. In this episode, we talk about storytelling that sticks, building brands with substance, and what it means to lead with meaning in a metrics-obsessed world. This is Dear Marketer, and we are just getting started. Shirin, thank you so much for joining in this first episode of Dear Marketer.
Thank you for having me.
I am so happy. Yeah, I'm so happy to have you as the first guest, to be very honest with you. First reason being there's so much similarity in what you do and what I do.
There is. And I had no idea I was the first guest actually.
Oh,
so
okay.
that's cute.
There's one thing I noticed about you through my entire conversation with you over this month is you're very spot on.
What do you mean by that?
You're like, this is me. And you are so spot on, so prompt in responding to the emails, to the WhatsApp messages, or in the way you speak. You're too direct. You're too on the point. Is it something that your experience taught you, or is it something inbuilt inside of you?
I think it comes from my father.
Oh,
it really does, because he's a very direct communicator. He doesn't beat around the bush, but at the same time he's kind. So being able to blend those two aspects is quite a tricky dance.
Okay.
But he does it really well.
You've worked in multiple different companies that has different domain, different target audience as well. Starting with TrulyMadly, then we have Google India, and now you are the Director of Marketing for upGrad Enterprise.
That's right.
So is there a common thread across all of these, or different learning, or was it all the same?
Definitely not all the same. Before anything else, I have to tell you, I feel like you're very generous. I'm at the very beginning of my career, I would say. So I wouldn't count it as like some incredible journey. It's just very much the beginning. And the common thread for me between my roles has always been getting out of my comfort zone. So when I went to TrulyMadly, I had no idea what copywriting really meant. And I was working with an agency first that wrote for TrulyMadly. And we launched the brand for the founders in India. I had no clue. All I knew was that I can write, and I'd interned with a bunch of newspapers, magazines, written a bunch of articles. And I was just like, yeah, this is something that looks like fun, and I think I'd like to do that. And from there, getting into just understanding that words can have such a power led me to go and study marketing. And then once I studied marketing, I was just like, I don't want to just write, I want to do more. Which is why when I came back, I spoke to Sachin, who was my boss at TrulyMadly, and said that I want to do something that is beyond copywriting, even though I really love copywriting. And he said, try partnerships. And in that role, I was able to work with more than 10 brands over a year, just building out relationships and doing things that I had absolutely never done before. And that kind of trust that someone who is super experienced puts in you, a complete newbie, has basically marked every aspect of my career. Because even when I moved from TrulyMadly to an agency, the practice, I had no idea what setting up a digital business means. I was entering a PR company. Someone took a bet on me, someone that I had worked with before, put me through all these rounds of interviews where they talked to me, helped me understand what the role is about, but also why maybe I would be a good fit, instead of just grilling me.
What was that spark that you got? One thing I can sense from what you tell me is that they gave you the freedom to be you, to explore. I think that is one takeaway that I can get from your introduction on that common thread that you said. Because you were not a marketing graduate before that.
I studied literature.
Yeah, you were a literature student and straight away to take a decision, okay, no, now something happened in copywriting to me and then I'm going to go ahead and pursue marketing and take it over as a career. And also that bet you took and going to Google India, that is a pleasure in itself, right?
I think with our first campaign at TrulyMadly, which was breaking stereotypes, I was fortunate enough to understand the actual power that words hold. That a thought, when articulated clearly, can have such an impact on people. And, a campaign that we spent very little money on. And it was just a bunch of freshers who put that together with guidance, of course, from a few very experienced folks. It changed so many lives. We had people writing into us. We had people downloading the entire campaign. And this is Facebook era, okay? Each picture being downloaded and put up on a new album saying, you have to see this. And that's when I realized that that's what I want to do. It's touch a lot of lives with the kind of messaging that you put out. And of course, over time, that romantic idea evolved into a more, more business-centric idea when I realized what I'm good at and what I'm interested in. But that's where it really began because, I was always a very chatty kid. Like you ask my parents, I don't know, I'm sorry. I was always a very chatty kid and I did a lot of extracurriculars growing up. I think I must have done about 65 Model UN conferences between 9th grade and the end of college. So I was always very out there.
Ambitious?
Super ambitious.
Okay.
I really wanted to have a lemonade stall growing up, but in Delhi it's too hot in summer to have a lemonade stall.
When you spoke about breaking stereotypes, I went through the entire website. And there was one line that was mentioned over there. It said, we all want to be distinctive, but somehow we strive to fit a norm.
Yes.
So that kind of was like, and the language that was used in that entire website was too bold. It was too bold for
I was 21.
So when as a person who is consuming it today in the 2025, it feels so empowering, It could have been, back in the time, it could have been a little like, too bold or, you're talking about stereotypes. It could have. But it did not, it was not perceived like that. It was welcomed back then as well. And today when I see that website, it is refreshing. It is empowering.
There were a few of the posters or the pictures, photo essays that we put out there that got a lot of backlash. So there was a little bit of learning there in terms of, brand and reputation and being careful with your messaging. So I'm not going to say it was all a bed of roses.
Right.
But the copy, and again, I go back to the people that hired me and people who guided me, Sachin, Rahul, Hitesh, and Deepak from Drizzlin. They were just like, yeah, go ahead, play, have fun. It's a fun brand, make it your own. And if they had not allowed us to do that and not given us that room to play, we would not have been able to write striking copy. We would not have been able to, play a little bit with fire. And that campaign did play a little bit with fire because it did challenge social norms.
A very big bet that a brand will take when they are infusing societal message into a campaign.
Yes.
First, it could be a hit. Second, it could be a miss.
Yeah.
These two are safe games. But if it turns out to be a disaster, then the reputation again gets damaged the most. But in this era where Gen Z is taking over, there's a lot of welcome for a campaign, for a big name, big brand, when it talks more about something that's really happening in the society, a burning issue, or something that's impacting. So when it comes from a brand's voice that's got this influence in the entire country, then the audience is also able to welcome it. So what is your perspective on a lot of enterprise level marketing? Having this personality-rich or societal messages infused campaigns?
I think it's very tricky. And if I go back to Breaking Stereotypes and TrulyMadly, we were not necessarily known before we, started with the campaign and other work. So we weren't coming from a place of privilege of being a large brand. We were just coming to life. But today when I see a lot of large brands put out campaigns that are social first, you're right, they can go so wrong and they can go so right. It's very tricky because a lot of times it feels like lip service. So if you do a campaign that is just a campaign and it doesn't actually reflect the values of your brand, doesn't tie back to the way you treat your people, the way your customer service is taken care of, the way your entire positioning is, then it always falls flat. So if a brand is really looking to make a big bet, and the way that a Google does it or a Dove does it, where it's all tied into their ethos or even the whole truth, those are really examples that I feel like I can be inspired by. But just about every brand with a few million followers going out and saying that just for the likes, we're going to do this, it's very artificial in my opinion.
True, I get it. So this is where I think it's the time to introduce your 3 I's.
Yeah.
I found it on your profile and it was very new. So the 3 I's that you follow is insight, impact, and influence.
Yeah.
This pretty much, in your the other previous 2 questions that I asked you, I got an idea of why you preach or why you follow or why is this your philosophy based on whatever you told me. A lot of us think or say that marketing is all about storytelling, but to be honest, your 3 I's give it a structure.
I love structure.
So tell me more about that.
Okay, so I mean, I'm sure this has existed for a very long time. It's just something I put on a deck and then it's stuck. So the 3 I's that I like to call the 3 I's of B2B marketing are impact, insight, and influence. And I'll start with impact. The question that you're answering here is, what is the proof behind the claims that we make? Are there clients that can actually speak to the impact of our work with them? Is there, if you're looking at social responsibility, are there lives that have changed because of us? Because a story is just a story until it has an anchor. And the impact piece will give it that anchor. On the insight front, specific to B2B marketing, I feel like customers and audiences are very hungry to understand what's going on in the ecosystem. In an ideal world, we would all be very aware of what's happening, what the trends are. You could just, look it up and it'll come up. But research plays a huge role in really understanding or getting the pulse of what's going on. And in that space, what I've realized is with B2B marketing, insights play a huge role. When you're able to put a number to a gut feeling, validate that and really come out and say that this is what is the truth of the moment right now, or this is the trend that we're seeing, it helps people make decisions. And then influence becomes how you're really showing up as a brand. Are you being seen and heard in the orbits that you want to be seen and heard in? Are you creating influence with your clients and your customers and your prospects by giving them something that strikes their imagination or showing them a little bit of what you do? Because I think the biggest mistake that we tend to make as marketers is assuming that everyone knows everything that we know. And this is old, this is stale, there's no need to put this out anymore. Sometimes it doesn't always have to be new to be relevant. So those 3 I's I find, at least in our team, have helped us come together and manage our work and be very clear and intentional about what we're putting out there.
That tells a lot about don't assume what you know or what you know about your customer or what you know about your market. That's pretty much what you told me in your previous answer, that we as marketers tend to think or kind of tweak our product or our services thinking that, okay, this will fit the audience without knowing what the problem statement and what the solution is expected out of it. Your contribution to Think with Google, where you guys wanted to do the thought leadership, especially in the B2B space, if you ask me, any content that you're putting from a space of thought leadership, it is so hard to get the views and reaches and, for it to maximize compared to a B2C. So you guys as a team at Google India, how are you able to, carry that forward? You're talking about customer research and you're talking about data-driven researchers as well. And all of this in a way that you don't make yourself self-important. A thought leadership in a positioning where you don't sound too self-important. So how did that transpire?
So I'm going to answer your question as a user of Think with Google now, because I no longer work on the product. But what I found beautiful about the platform was that it's got something for everyone. And in many ways, it's your single source of truth or one-stop shop for best-in-class practices, research that is coming to you from one of the best companies in the world. And you know that they're putting their due diligence in. And one thing that over time, through B2B, I have learned from my bosses is that you are just an enabler as a product. Your client is the hero. And I love how beautifully Think with Google is able to do that, because at the end of the day, these are not stories of Google. These are stories of companies that have leveraged the strengths that Google brings to the ecosystem and made them, 10x. So it's interesting how those 3 parts, which is perspectives, case studies, and research reports, come together.
So it's content with credibility, and there is also something that I see, which is empowering and skilling your users.
Yeah.
So in this
You
way,
said it better than I could.
now in upGrad, so your journey is a little more, I think your profile got a little more tougher is what I see from the
Yes.
as your career graph goes, it is the the scale of toughness also kind of increases
Sure.
exponentially is what I feel, because you're taking care of enterprise.
Right.
And marketing over there is ROI, you can't get it instantly.
Yeah.
And definitely once you put in the effort, the results are going to be there for long term. But the game is totally different because of the long gestational period.
Yeah.
So it is going to be different. So how do you navigate now at upGrad?
So you're absolutely right that there is a long gestation period, and one can, if you look at it from a very myopic sense, then it can be a little disheartening. But again, I'm very lucky to have leadership that really understands the vision that our team is working towards. And there are things that go short term and give you immediate results, and there are things that you are investing in for the long run. And doing only one of those two is obviously going to be a little futile, because you need a little bit of variety in the way that you're engaging with your customers. So for instance, from a short-term and long-term perspective, one, we have our Generous podcast, which is a GenAI applicability podcast with guests from all over the world. With that, we're able to actually share with our clients our perspective on tech, data, and AI. And that becomes content that they can consume over time, they can understand, they can share ahead with people. And again, that content marketing engine keeps going. But then mixing that content marketing engine with a little bit of insight is our research reports. Every quarter, based on the gaps that we sense in the market, as well as what we're hearing from our customers, we dive deep into a singular issue. So for instance, late last year, we looked at how Gen Z interact with Gen AI in the workplace. Then we looked at a workforce wish list for 2025. What do people want to learn? And then we go a little bit deeper and tell people that, of course, yes, people want to learn about AI, no brainer, duh. But what about it? And that's where the interesting things come up. Because right now, all the material that we are seeing in the, aspiration, skilling space is very surface level. The bet that we have taken is to go a bit deeper, to really investigate what it is that makes a person stay at a company. What is it that makes a person go through with a learning program? And do you really need to skill everyone in the same way? So every piece of research that we do is tied back to the business. And in that way, it helps us get a little bit of immediate push in terms of engagement with the brand, of course, but it also gives life to longer conversations. And then whether it is about being present at industry forums or creating our own forums, giving a safe space to our tribe to actually share best practices and learnings, because it is a sensitive subject, right? That gives us a lot of value. Yes, it's tricky in B2B and it's not as thrilling as B2C when you do a campaign and it goes viral and you've got everyone writing about it. But the big difference is that here, even if I just reach 100 people, if they are the right 100 people, I have done my job.
There's a false binary, at least that's how I would like to put it. Brand versus performance. A lot of the times, I know you told me you've had amazing bosses, and so have I, but at the end of the day, when we run a campaign, when we put things out from a brand and a content perspective, we still feel that we are accountable to bringing that performance
Yes.
and to bringing that ROI and the metrics. And being at this leadership level in marketing, how do you balance it? Because there's one aspect where when you talk about campaigns or content curation or podcasts that you're doing, there's a lot of passion and creativity involved.
Yeah.
Versus you also have to account for the performance. So how do you balance both of those?
It's going to be a very boring answer, I'm telling you now. Firstly, brand and performance go hand in hand. But at the same time, I feel like a really great campaign, what it can do on its own versus what it can do with the push that performance gives it, totally different things. And performance on its own, don't think they can really live without the content that gives it, oxygen to breathe.
True.
So that's one. But in just, calculating your ROI, it's not as black and white as, hey, we've got so much engagement. And I think it's important to break it down at the beginning by saying that these are the KPIs that I'm going after. This is how I will measure my success. And if you really break it down, you can see so many options, right? Is it the number of headlines that you have, driven for your brand? Is it the increase in time spent on your website? And I'm giving the most basic ones. Or is it that, hey, I have a wish list of 100 people that I want to connect with. I've managed to connect with 60. And then having one person or, one role that is dedicated to actually seeing what goes from where. Did we touch someone through a campaign, and then did it lead to a meeting? Did it lead to a conversion? And if you go deeper into the tools that we're working with, just something as simple as LinkedIn, these are all very trackable things. So having a very clear understanding of what you can measure, and then putting it up front, saying that this is how I'm going to decide whether this went well or not. That gives you a really good understanding of whether something's working or not. But of course, at the end of the day, not everything is going to even out.
True.
So having that understanding that this is a long-term investment where we're building our brand is something that most mature marketers have internalized by now.
Got it. Do you find a difference in the leadership that is probably much senior to you and the leadership that you're bringing into the workforce? Like you yourself being the director and now leading a team now.
Right.
What's the contrasting difference or the similarity that you would want to talk about?
Totally different generations, very different working styles. Read our report on Gen Z and GenAI at the workplace. One really interesting insight that really stood out to me from that report was that Gen Z is more likely to trust GenAI when it comes to taking advice at the workplace than they are to go to a manager or a senior person.
True.
And that led to so many conversations. We're like, wait, why is that happening? And it is important for us to kind of have those conversations and understand how each generation processes information and behaves in the workplace, or is programmed to behave. Because if we expect the same out of everyone and we just talk about the good old days, quote unquote, which to be honest were never really that good, it doesn't really work. And then you're basically trying to create clones.
What is the one thing that you want to tell to the early marketers who are starting out or who are envisioning to take up content, brand or reputation at a larger firm in marketing in today's landscape?
One word: read.
Okay.
Read as much as you can. I mean, at least, and okay, people consume and learn differently, sure. But for me, the amount I have learned from reading has helped me more than anything else ever has. And that helps you ask the right questions. That helps you come up with ideas and really understand what the world has to offer. And even though English literature looked a lot into the past, it helped us understand our present really well. So consuming all sorts of content, whether it is listening to podcasts, whether it is reading a nice magazine like The Economist or just a newspaper, or even perspective pieces, just broaden your horizon, because the biggest disservice we as marketers can do to our industry is to pigeonhole. And it's not going to work if you're only speaking to 5 people. You need to understand 5 million perspectives.
While you were talking about the trends that's happening in marketing, there's one question that I want to ask you. A larger part of our work depends on creatives.
Yeah.
Now it is AI generated creatives. A lot of optimization on social, we used to do it manually, now it's auto optimized on socials. And then we also have ChatGPT generated content.
We do.
Something that I believe is automation. We marketers at this era are enjoying in automation in one extent, and at the same time I also feel automation at scale could suck away the soul out of the copy.
If you let it.
If you let it, yeah.
If you
true.
let it.
Yeah. So what's your take on the entire thing?
Firstly, AI has been around forever, and it's been helping us do things faster and smarter for a very long time. It's just blown up now. It has gone 10x, and now we're at a point where we can actually save time, which is spent on grunt work.
True. Yeah.
And no shame towards grunt work, but save time and spend more time on strategy than on execution. So if you get a first draft from generative AI, that blank page anxiety goes away. And it kind of helps you, get a little bit of a head start. So that's what I really like. But about, it taking the soul away from things, like I said, of course, technology is going to take the soul out of things if you let it.
True, yeah.
A human has to be involved. The creativity, the insight is something that you may be able to arrive at faster with generative AI, but it's not necessarily going to do all the work for you. So you can't just sit back, open a jar of Nutella, take a spoon and just watch the machine do your work.
You can't use the ChatGPT as your, replica to get your work done, but it is almost like a assistant to you.
An enhancer. However you want to use it. But then again, I have my own food podcast, and the other day we're going through a bit of a rebrand, and we wanted to recreate our cover image. And I went and played with a bunch of tools that the team recommended, and put in a few pictures, and we have a really cute creative now. So yes, I had to spend 45 minutes and do iterations and say, no, not this, no, not this. But it worked out in the end. So it also gives you a little bit of democratization. I'm not a designer, except unless you call Canva expertise and designing briefs for my wedding on Canva design. But I was able to design something. So there is something to be said about the democratization of content creation that comes with the tools that we have. But what I'm most excited about is saving time.
True. Yeah.
Right? Even if it is something as simple as you've got this table that you need to be like, hey Gemini or hey ChatGPT, sort this out for me based on a little bit of research on these parameters. Something you would have spent maybe an hour on, you can now spend somewhere else.
True.
So not to be threatened by these tools. They're here to help us, they're here to augment, and they're also here to have fun.
Especially in copywriting, I personally don't believe asking a ChatGPT that, okay, draft this for me. At least I feel, what happens? It starts generating all those very ChatGPT specific words like cutting edge technology, or those words that normally you would be able to easily spot. A lot of emojis. The GPTs or your work gets better based on the prompts you give, and also you need to put a little bit of effort when it comes to content or social copy, or even you're doing a branding campaign or whatever.
Absolutely.
Your effort has to be there. So it's not like ChatGPT is here, it gets your job done. No, it gets your job easier. It doesn't get your job completely done as well.
And sometimes it makes your work harder, honestly. If you are going to always depend on someone else to do your work, you're going to forget how to do it yourself.
Exactly, true.
And I know I sound like an old lady now, but it's true.
True. Okay, so we've come to the end of this discussion, and now we're going to go to the rapid fire segment.
Sounds good.
You're ready?
Yeah.
Okay, I have the questions.
Do I win a hamper?
Yes, I am going to give you a hamper as well.
Oh my God, are you serious?
I am serious. Serious. So we will have a meet and greet, and at that time you'll get a hamper.
That's awesome.
Okay. One brand you'd love to lead marketing for, just for the creative stretch.
Urban Platter.
Wow. Okay.
I love their stuff.
Okay. Amazing. Most underrated trait in a marketer, empathy or logic?
Empathy.
Okay.
You will always find me saying that it's not radical candor, it's radical kindness.
Yeah.
If you're going to be horrible,
Yeah.
it's not going to work out in the long run.
You always mentioned it in the entire podcast, and the moment you enter also you mentioned the same thing.
Yeah.
So I think you truly stand by that. But okay. Next one is your guilty pleasure campaign or content trend you secretly love.
You know when Dub Smash was a thing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that was super fun. I remember making a Mean Girls Dub Smash with my best friend, and I should find that.
Okay. What's more powerful, a killer headline or a killer insight?
Ooh, a killer headline that lends itself to the insight.
Oh, okay. That was a very smart answer. Kathak or boxing? Which one feels more like campaign planning?
Kathak feels more like campaign planning for sure, because it is so meticulous. In boxing, I can just go and punch.
So we've come to the end of the rapid fire segment.
Okay.
And I think you were super spot on, and
Thank you.
No doubt you're going to get the hamper, 100%. Okay, next up we're going to go for a segment called Thumb Rule. So this is your thumbs down, and this is your thumbs up, and this is your inverted smiley. So I'm going to give you a statement and you have to tell me whether it's a yes, no, or you don't prefer answering it. Okay? B2B marketing can be just as fun as B2C. Okay. Marketers should also be creators. AI will eventually write better campaigns than humans. No. Okay.
Hell no.
You want to elaborate?
Hell no. That's the answer.
Okay, got it. Most brands today feel indistinguishable. Okay, why is that so?
Everyone's trying to do the same thing, and like you said in the beginning, right, that brands want to, for just as an example, want to associate with, say, a social cause just to, you know, get people to cry or whatever. Doesn't work that way.
So the last question, performance first strategies are killing creativity.
No.
No.
Come on. No.
Yeah, what's your
I think
take?
Having a just basic understanding of what performance marketing can do for you. And I'll give you a very simple example. At one point, I was playing with responsive display ads on Google. And at first, I was just like, how am I supposed to write this? Because I have to write like things that will become permutations and combinations. And ultimately, once we cracked it, what we realized was that the system is doing the work for you in terms of serving the right combinations to people.
True.
And the reason we were able to actually put certain pieces of copy together was because we understood, okay, fine, I just need to put sentences that work together and speak about my brand, do justice to my brand, and then it will tailor to the audience the way that it needs to.
That wraps up the segment and also the entire episode.
Thank you so much.
You have been such a warm, sweet guest.
Oh, thank you. You've been lovely as well.
I couldn't have asked for any better guest for the first episode in itself.
Very kind.
So yeah, we were a little like, oh, we put the set and all, the guests.
It's damn cute. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for taking your time. Thank you.